Okay, questions that have come across the Ray Edwards desk. Is that what we call it? No. It's a weird phrase I came up with just now. It came out of my head. These are real questions, though, that have come from listeners, readers, viewers, friends, even family in one case. I won't say which one. So question one for today is, what do I do in this economy, in this economic environment? And this is usually accompanied by some request, addition or appendage that gives the person asking the question an excuse. So what do I do in this recession? What do I do in this election year? What do I do in these troubled times? Or for some people, what do I do in these end times? Please, no creepy end of the world scenarios. We don't need any more of those. But I'll tell you what to do. And it's not quit, and it's not stuff your money in a mattress and hide out in the hills. Neither of those are acceptable. We'll come to that. Next question. What if I don't like my business anymore? I want to do something different. And the implication here is, how do I tell my family I don't want to be a surgeon anymore? How do I tell my family I don't want to be a lawyer anymore if I have a thriving practice? Big questions. We'll get to that. What's the right way, step by step, to build my business? There is no such plan, and there shouldn't be, and you shouldn't want there to be. And I'll explain why in just a moment. And then finally, this is the one where people want me to lay out the magic wisdom drop. The question takes various forms. It usually, by the most self-image conscious people, it'll be like this. Ray, if you were starting over and you had none of your current assets, what would be the one thing you would tell yourself about building a successful business? That's a way of somebody saying, without admitting it, they feel like they're starting over from nothing. And can I give them the magic advice that'll solve all their problems? Sort of. Let's go with question one first. What do I do in this economy, in this recession, in this time of inflation, in this election year? Blah, 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 blah. Ignore all that. I don't mean don't be aware of it. I mean, don't let it influence your decisions over much. You want to be aware of the economic realities for sure. We're going into an economic winter in some ways, but winter doesn't mean death. It simply means hibernation. You should be preparing for the time of planting, and you should be sowing. This is where the metaphor breaks down, because on a farm, you can't really plant and sow in the winter. But in life, if we're talking about the economic winter, you can be planting and sowing and even reaping. You're playing a short-term game and a long-term game at the same time, and that's key. Often we get caught up in the short-term game. How do I make money today? And so we're so focused on that, we're not doing any planting for tomorrow. That's the long-term game. You need to do both every day, in my humble but accurate opinion. Don't let a workday go by without doing work for which you're being paid to do today, whether that's you're providing a service or you're selling stuff by retail or whatever it is you do currently to generate income. And if you're not generating income, that's job one. Generate some income. Also, don't let the day go by without planting seeds for income you will reap only in the harvest of tomorrow or next week or next month or even next year. How do you do both? Isn't that complex? Yes, it is. Welcome to life on planet Earth. It's complex. That's part of the joy of being here. Look, you've got to really lean into these challenges we're all facing, because some of us are doing well and we feel like, well, I don't have very many big challenges other than how do I grow? How do I invest more? How do I properly steward what I've been given? Well, those are challenges. And some are like, I don't have enough money to pay my bills next month. That's also a challenge. Neither of those situations makes you more or less of a moral person. Neither of those situations says more about your value intrinsically as a human. What it does say is it gives you guidance on what you need to be doing right now to make your future more palatable, more enjoyable. And if you have lessons to learn, if that's God's design for your life, the lessons will continue until they are learned. Next question. What if I don't like my business and I want to change it? And this often and usually comes to me from people who have well-established practices as physicians, as legal professionals, as real estate professionals, people who have a business that they've put lots of capital and time and years and blood, sweat, and tears into, and they probably have a profitable business, but it's slowly killing them. It's killing their soul and maybe their physical body as they overwork, keep things going, and thus they shorten their life through stress and overloading their system with all the stuff that happens when you're under constant, never-ending stress. A bad way to be, and you have control over much of it. So what do you do in that situation where you don't like your business anymore? That's more than you don't like it. First, you have to determine, do you really hate your business? Which is the language people usually use when they're talking to me about this subject. They'll say secretly, under a vow of silence from me, they'll say, I hate this business. I want out, but I feel trapped. If that's you, first, you got to make sure you really feel that way. And don't make long-term life decisions based on short-term emotional states. You might be in a season of burnout and overwork and overstress. And if you gave yourself a chance to recuperate and recover, you might not feel that way anymore. Then you could look back and regret having killed the business you actually did not hate. However, if you really don't like the business you have built and you're currently in, and you're feeling the tug of, I want to go back to my first love, art or writing, or I want to be a freelancer, or I want to do something outside, or I want to build something with my hands. You want to fundamentally change the kind of business you're in, then change it. You don't need anyone's permission but yours and God's. And if you're married, your spouse. You should get them involved in this decision. But if you truly hate what you're doing, then go do something that you're going to love. But know this, if you make the change, it will be painful. It's difficult. It will have consequences, some of which will be pleasant, some which will not. And there will be times when you'll doubt the decision you've made. That's going to be true whichever way you decide. If you decide to stay with the thing you don't like and to suppress those feelings and push them under like you've been doing for all these years, most likely, that's going to have repercussions and you're going to doubt. You're going to look back a few years from now and think, I should have changed when I had the chance, because it'll seem more impossible to you then than it seems now. It's not impossible now. You can throw everything aside and start from scratch today if you want to. If you really want that, just know what you're getting yourself into. And likewise, even if you cashed in your business, you're flush with money, your partner was on board, and you started your new business, and it all goes well, you're still going to have doubts. You're going to look back and ask yourself, did I do the right thing? Did I throw away all those years of higher education I had to become a physician or a scientist? And now I'm building garden sheds because I love being outside and doing that artistically, or whatever your thing is. You're going to look back and say, did I do the right thing? So decide in advance how you're going to deal with those feelings. But you have the ability to stop what you're doing and do something else. I don't care how old you are. I know people who've changed their path in their 90s, in their 70s, in their 50s, in their 30s. It's possible at any age. So age has nothing to do with it. Vested interest in your business has little to do with it. It's something you should think about. You don't want to throw away financial gain that you could easily recoup if you just thought through it and did it carefully and methodically instead of recklessly. So be careful. And in any decisions like this, don't look to me for business or legal advice that you make life decisions based on. Go talk to a qualified professional, a CPA, an attorney, an insurance agent, the people that handle these different things that you need to accommodate for when you make a big change like that. But I'm telling you, it's your life. You get to decide how you're going to live it. Make that decision and follow through. You'll feel so much more alive. Question number 3 for today. Ray, how do I build my business the right way? These people are asking me normally for a step-by-step, infallible blueprint flowchart of what to do every step along the way, to know they're on track, to know they're keeping the right scores, they're doing the right things in their business, they're doing it the right way. Life is not a flowchart. Life is not a checklist. Those things are useful. I love them. They have a use in your business, but I can't hand you a step-by-step right way to do it because there is no right way. There's many different ways to build a business. You know, this week I'm teaching a workshop here in Spokane called the One Person, $1 Million Business Workshop. And we're going to work with a handful of students and walk them through how to build just that. Now, what's the way I'm going to teach them to do it? Their way. Because every student in that workshop is going to need a different plan to make it work for them, because they're different people. And nobody builds a business exactly the same way as somebody else did. That's part of the fun of this whole thing. If you'll free yourself to ask questions of your own secret heart, where you ask, what do I really want? What do I want my workday to look like? What do I want to be working on every day of the rest of my life? How do I want to serve people? Who do I want to serve? If you really ask and look deep for the answers to those questions, it'll show you how to build a business that's right for you the right way. That's my answer to that question. I have more answers, but you'd need to come to the workshop. And now for the final question of this week's episode. This is where, in various different ways, they've dressed it up in different questions. When people ask me this question, they're really asking one thing. Question 4, Ray, if you could only give me one piece of advice that'll guide me through the building of my own business, what is that advice? It's kind of a variation of the previous question, but not. It's a little more precise. I appreciate that. And it comes to me worded in different ways. But here's my answer. This is the one thing that if I could only say to you one thing that would help you for the rest of your life, I would say this. Writing is the way to get everything you want in life. Not just copywriting, although that's primarily what I'm known for, but writing out the vision of what you have for your life is going to get you what you want. And it's not about the secret or the law of attraction. It is about clearly articulating the desires of your heart and clearly articulating your plans for getting there, and being able to do that in a way that influences and inspires and educates and entertains and moves other human beings as well as yourself. I'll talk more about that in my next episode. Until then, leave your questions or comments right below wherever you're watching or listening to this content. And until next time, my prayer for you is that God will do more for you than you can ask or even possibly imagine, that it will all be good, and may you be blessed by Him. May you live long and prosper with purpose. See you next time.